52-year-old Max Allegri looks to be the #1 target for Real Madrid, with Zinedine Zidane's departure looking ever more realistic by the day. Here's a short, concise profile on Max Allegri, so whether you're an ultra Madrista or you're a complete neutral, you'll know what to expect from the Italian. And believe me, this is going to be a proper profile. We're not just going to say he's a very defensive coach, and we're not going to say he's the complete opposite. We're going to give you the full details, so stick around for it. Allegri has managed exclusively in Italy since he finished his modest playing career in 2002, and he took over AC Milan in 2010-11 and led him to Serie A glory in his first season. He finished second and third in the 2 seasons after that before he was sacked in January 2014 after a bit of a rough start to the 13-14 season. He would move straight to Juventus in the summer, taking over from Antonio Conte, and over the next 5 years he won every single Serie A title and boasted a league win percentage of 75.5%, the best of any Juve manager in history in Serie A. In this time he would lead Juve to 2 UCL finals, which he would both lose, first time in 2015 to Barcelona's MSN, and then in 2017 to Real Madrid, featuring the Ronaldo in his prime. In 2019 he announced he was leaving Juventus, and thus began a 2-year rumour mill which suggested Massimiliano Allegri was learning English and he was keen to move to a Premier League club, but so far since 2019 he's been completely jobless. Between 2010 and 2019, Allegri won the 2011 Serie A title, the 2011 Supercoppa Italia, and then he won every single Serie A title from 2014 to 2019. He won every single Coppa Italia from 2014 to 2018. He won 2 more Supercoppa Italianas, 4 Serie A Coach of the Year awards, and he came third in the 2017 Manager of the Year awards by FIFA. That's all well and good, but let's actually have a look at the teams Allegri had at his disposal, as well as the teams he was fighting against in Serie A and in the Champions League. His Milan title in 2011 was actually arguably his easiest one. He had Alessandro Pato in his prime, Zlatan Ibrahimovic in his prime, he also had Robinho firing, he had Gennaro Gattuso, Andrea Pirlo, he had everyone on full cylinders. Also, Thiago Silva in defence. Then, moving to Juventus in 2014, he again had Serie A's best players at his disposal, again including Andrea Pirlo, Carlos Tevez, Paul Pogba, Arturo Vidal, Giorgio Chiellini, Leonardo Bonucci, Andrea Bezzali, Claudio Marchisio. Christ, he even got Morata scoring 8 goals in the league and 5 more in the UCL on the way to the final. In fairness, that route to the final in 2014-15 did see Juventus getting past first Dortmund, then Monaco, then Real Madrid in the semi-finals before crumbling to Barcelona, obviously in the final. In the next season, 15-16, Juventus retained the services of Paul Pogba, who had a stellar season before he moved to Manchester United, and they also brought in Paulo Dybala, who scored 19 goals in his debut campaign. However, there were some weaker players in this team, with Stefan Lichtsteiner and Patrice Evra running at wing-backs in a 3-5-2 system. Juventus were pushed to 91 points that year, but still finished 9 points clear of Napoli. This is the beginning actually of Napoli's modern golden era under Maurizio Sarri, and they built on their team in 16-17 when they added Dries Mertens. Well, at least he started firing all cylinders because he contributed to 28 goals in 16-17. Scratch that, he scored 28 and contributed to 37. However, Napoli were beaten to second by Roma, with Luciano Spalletti inspiring Edin Dzeko to contribute to 38 goals and Mohamed Salah to contribute to 26 goals in his final season at Roma. Roma finished second that year on 87 points, not quite catching Juve, who were on 91. In fact, Allegri only lost 5 games that year. In fact, he's only ever lost 8 games in a single league campaign before. Of course, this victory was slightly ruined by their loss in the Champions League finals to Real Madrid. They had beaten Monaco with Kylian Mbappe and Barcelona still with Messi and Suarez. They lost in the final in extra time, but in hindsight, Allegri worked miracles to get there, because Juventus' best players that year were arguably a 30-year-old Higuain or a 24-year-old Dybala still coming into his prime. In fact, Allegri managed to squeeze 7 goal contributions out of a 35-year-old Dani Alves, so that's an achievement in itself. Not as much as an achievement as the 17-18 season though for Allegri, as Juventus were pushed all the way by Napoli. This was Napoli in their prime, as Mertens contributed to 24 goals, Callahan to 20, Insigne to 19 and Hamsik to 9, and they went nearly all the way as they finished on 91 points. They only lost 3 matches that year, but the only record they set was for the highest points total a runner-up has ever faced, as Juve pipped them on 95 points. Allegri managed to get 22 goals out of Dybala and somehow 12 assists out of Douglas Costa. It's not as if Juventus were boring either, as many said at the time, because obviously Napoli were quite exciting, but Juve scored more goals than them. Only Lazio scored more goals, and Juve also conceded the fewest shots. Honestly, I think this is where Allegri has really been let down in his reputation. There is a very clear reason why more people were in love with an Italian coach like Sarri, rightly or wrongly. They love him more than a coach like Allegri. For example, if you look at formation, Allegri's never had a set system. He's happy to switch between a back three and a back four, as he showed at Milan and Juventus. And this is because Allegri's main quality is that he's adaptable. His quality is finding the best system and the best tactics for his best players to get the best out of them. Now, this is a good quality, but he's not got an overwhelming philosophy. He doesn't dominate possession and he doesn't press high. In fact, with Juventus, as the team aged out, a bit like Zidane at Real Madrid, the team started to drop further and further back. And you can see by the 2018-19 season, Juve were attempting the 10th least tackles in Serie A in the attacking third of the pitch, which basically meant Juventus were pressing a lot less, like Real Madrid have done this season under Zidane, as you've got Kroos and Modric who can't basically run anymore. Allegri has shown good tactical now slow because he's managed to get, as I mentioned, good contributions out of Dani Alves, and he played Mandzukic as a left winger, so he'd be really good at the back post. Honestly, I've kind of mentioned it, but Allegri shares a lot in similarities to Zidane. Both managers have so far shown they're very good at being adaptable and getting the most out of their best players, and while they might not have an overwhelming system, they are contributing to attacking football, because if they've got the world's best players, getting the most out of them usually means a lot of goals. At Milan, Allegri had Brian Cristante come through the club and Mbaye transferred to AC Milan at aged 18, and he basically gave neither of them any solid minutes. In fact, he only gave Cristante 3 appearances in 3 years. At Juventus, his record for promoting youth isn't great either. He let Kingsley Coman go after he made 15 appearances in 3 years at Juventus, and he also let Domenico Berardi go after never making an appearance at Juventus and just sold him to Sassuolo. I think the biggest offence though has definitely been Moise Kean. Though he did make 12 appearances in his final season, 18-19, and he did score 6 goals, he left that year because he felt he just wasn't getting the game time he needed or deserved. And at PSG, he has since proved that he is a quality striker, and perhaps if he'd been given a bit more minutes, then he could have done something special at Juventus. Basically, it's not a good record of youth development, but as we have mentioned, Allegri has proven himself as a solid coach, as he's got good quality out of players like Douglas Costa and Paulo Dybala. So he's clearly a manager who can improve the quality in his side. He's just not got youth development at the forefront of his mind. But considering all of this, I actually really think Allegri is the perfect fit for Real Madrid. He's basically a Zidane clone with a bit more experience. Allegri has spent 5 years at one of the most pressurising clubs in world football, maybe just a couple of places behind Real Madrid, and he managed to deal with that pressure well. He won Serie A 5 years in a row, and although a couple of times he was unchallenged, he was pushed very hard by Roma and Napoli. He may not take the club in a new direction, but he will bring guaranteed success, and even if this is a transition period until Perez picks a manager maybe with a new philosophy or a new direction to take, it's not going to be an embarrassing time like has been seen at Barcelona while they're in between different eras. I would rate Max Allegri to Real Madrid an 8 out of 10. Please like and subscribe, and see you again soon.